starts not off, we're going to just smack you, wake you up. But I wanted to introduce Jim Ross, who is with City.
That's me.
That is Jim. Raise your hand. This is Jim. He just had lunch, so he's a little slow.
I didn't want anybody to be confused with you.
Right. And of course, Bill, I'm sure most of you know her. She's a very classy lady. And the all of us are excited that you're here today. I unfortunately did not write my speech out. I had about an hour-long speech that I wanted to give you today. And there's enough time. One thing that I take away, and I do take notes like everyone does, and I've been through several seminars in the past, but every time I come I learn something new. And then I hear something that I heard before, and it reminds me like, oops, yes, you're right. And you know, repetition is a lot of times our best teacher. So I find what Brian teaches to be very, very valuable. I would believe that my colleagues would also probably agree with what I said. But thank you for coming. I was going to sing, but I'm not going to do that. The bread's tickling my throat. But I do want to go ahead and introduce Jim, and then after Jim, and we're giving him 30 seconds, but it's very long-winded. Then we're going to let him go ahead, Jim.
Hey, not going to add much to that. It's just thanks a lot for coming today. Fortunately, the weather did cooperate with us today, so for the folks that...
And Jim, here's what I'd probably ask. It's just, thank you. It's just a takeaway from this today, or things, because you've been in coaching.
As I talk with some of the folks in the room,
Thanks,
it's almost everybody goes, I never thought of that before. Well, that's interesting. That's a different way of looking at it. And I think that's the takeaway from what Brian has to offer. And, I've known Brian for a number of years, and it's all still learning. He brings something new almost every time. So, hopefully I know it takes taking your whole day. Hopefully it's very valuable for you. That's
Thanks,
all I have.
Jim.
And also, we want to introduce Bill, who is not a stranger to us. Bill does sing.
Yeah, my dance.
After the event today, she's going to put on a concert for us.
We're going to do limbo to just see if we can go. But thank you all for coming. I am glad that the weather did decide to cooperate today, at least a little bit. It doesn't look too bad out there. So we really appreciate you guys coming. And I know some people, like poor Rose, came on Friday because she didn't know. So we really appreciate you coming back. For me, you guys all know I'm a recovering agent and broker. And so coming to this is really fun. I mean, years and years and years ago, I've done deals with Brian. And I don't know how you and I reconnected, but somehow, you reconnect with people. And there's a greater, higher power out there, and it says, if you don't learn something the first time, you need to keep learning, right? And so I'm, by the way, a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks. I've repeated many, many, many grades at that stage. And so Brian and I reconnected, and I've been coaching with Brian. Because as I've always said, professionals hire coaches because amateurs don't need them.
Right.
So this is where it's so great. And this information that Brian is giving us, I have really bad news. It's like my husband says living with me is like pinning jello to the wall. So I have all these thoughts in my head, and I know all this stuff, and all of a sudden I start talking to Brian, and I start working with him. It's almost like, how many of you guys have seen Star Wars? Everybody seen the Star Wars series? And you know the movie where Luke becomes a Jedi and he goes to rescue? He's going to go rescue Han Solo, right? And he's a Jabba, he's armed slave in the Jabba. I'm thinking. By the way, Star Wars is a great movie. In case anyone's ever watched. And he goes to the thing, and he's standing in front of this ugly alien, and he says, I need to see Jabba. And the alien says, oh no, you will not see Jabba. And Luke uses the Force. You will take me. And he uses the Force. And the alien says, oh, now it's Jabba. And it's like that working with Brian. Oh, now I get it.
Thank you.
How many of you guys do phone duty? How many here do phone duty? Anybody do phone duty anymore? How many times have you had an agent call you and go, is so-and-so there? And you say, well, I'm sorry, she's not here right now. Could I put in her voicemail? Well, no, do you have her cell phone number? And they want all this information, right? So my thing when I was doing phone duty was if an agent called for another agent, right away, I used the force. I'll put you in her voicemail now, right? You just put them in the voicemail. And so this kind of stuff that I'm learning with Brian is so impactful. It's like using the force with people. And it works. It really works.
My Yoda or Jabba?
No, you're definitely Yoda. Because, you know, Yoda says try not, do,
Yeah.
or do not, right? So that's what we're doing here. And
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you guys, so that you guys can take this back and really use it.
Oh,
So-
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. The, can you hear me, Yuri? Hey, I want to share something. I talked to some people at break. So I just want to speak into, and I know that people have already made the investment today, and I appreciate that. For those of you, if I can say this, if you're waiting for the next deal, if the next deal is what you need to do this, I kind of recommend maybe you don't, that you don't do this. Because if you will, I already know this because I've done this speaking for quite a while, that people's intentions today, there's going to be a lot of people talking you out of it tomorrow. It's going to be managers, no offense to some managers, but this kind of goes against the grain to build teams, because I'm not sure there's any brokerage in St. Louis you can go to or in the nation and say, I want you to equip me to call upon HR. That's our job. I was told that some of the large companies I was at, when I went to get builders, subdivisions, and list them, they were basically, I was called and said, we do that. When I went after HR, again, I got introduced, I was told, we do that. And just go do what you should do. Just listed cards, open houses, buy owners, your sphere of influence, geographic farming, those normal things. And so there's going to be voices outside of here. They're going to tell us not to do it. And we're trying to move from Flatlander, only can see so far, to forward thinking. And as we look at discretionary income, I mean, who here does not have cable? So that means just 2 people. We have 4, we have 4, we have 5, we have 5. Just until the Cardinals, that's right. Same with me. I got the basic package till the Cards start playing. And so as we look at discretionary income, the question is, does discretionary income create revenue for you? The money we use to pay for the things that entertain us. I have a friend who goes to Starbucks twice a day, every day, sometimes 3 times a day. And so the amount of discretionary income that she spends there, what did we say this was? That at $13.65 a day, and this woman spends about 13, at least at Starbucks, a day.
Getting introduced?
Not getting introduced to people.
Oh.
Drinking that coffee. And so if you look at your cable bill right now, and we got a certain cable package, Ben and I, and as you take the cable package, and we just reduced it because I wanted Ben and I to watch a lot less television. And now we've got a bunch of books on top of the TV. It's so easy to flip the TV on. One way to reduce the watching of TV, just to relax and whatever, was to get rid of most of the cable stations. Now we have the very, very basic package. We're saving a lot, but if you take those funds and you take the cable bill down by $13.65, you can find the money. This is about priorities. Whether you do this with me, I'd recommend Brian Buffini's company, and I know their products. I'd speak highly about Buffini's products. There's some other speakers out there, the training programs. I'd recommend them. And it's really a matter of saying priorities. When you make a decision like this, whether it's me or you're sitting on the fence with another company, and you're thinking about making an investment like this, is to say, is my discretionary spending on things that I don't need, can those resources be reallocated? To do what? Refine and equip. if cable is refining and equipping you, go for it. Or you have that mentor in your life. But if you don't, this is only a question of priorities. Because I'm confident that the investment will be made back hand over hand, fist over, whatever the saying is. It's just a matter of doing it now versus doing it later. I'm not going to change my prices to say, oh, we're going to discount it today if you do something like that. We're not going to discount it later. If anything, the prices are going to go up as we just becoming in more demand. In fact, we've had about 3 price increases just over the past half a year for my time and some of the things that we did because the demand was so high. And we're pretty confident it's what's going to happen with us and, well, whatever about the price where it is in the future. But really, this thing is about priorities. And do you have discretionary income that you're using right now that is not contributing toward your personal growth, your business growth? And that's really all I have to say about that because I talked with a few people and I just really want to encourage, if it's not this system, find another system. Where are you going to find the money? Starbucks, going there, and or the cable bill, whatever it is, because we're not talking about, where can you find an extra $100 a month to do this, to get the books to be able to send to you, to get the 20 mentorships from me, all these marketing pieces done for you. My encouragement would be, because you're my extended sales force and I want to see you succeed, is that we would get started. And again, the challenge with, I've been in those seminars before. We just don't have the money for this right now. It was just about shifting priorities and shifting discretionary income that we use for entertainment into something, and obviously this is what I did. I moved money around, and I always had, forward thinkers almost always have a coach or a mentor around them. You talk about some of the best athletes in the world, they still have coaches and mentors speaking in their lives. And it's, and I'd like to be that person, in your life, but I just wanted to be able to frame that hopefully there's a way to do this. So, all right. So let's go through lead conversion, because what is good is lead generation if we can't do lead conversion? And so as we're talking to realtors in this part of the conversation, and the reason, again, loan officers should be really interested in this, is we need the realtors to perform better. If you want to do more deals, help equip the realtors. At the kitchen table interview, there's 3 major times a realtor has what I call a consequential conversation. And that is when they obtain the listing or the buyer's agency agreement, when they obtain that. Additionally, when that's getting the commitment, sitting down with the seller and getting the listing taken or getting the buyer, right, that we're pulling the right quality people in, because lead conversion has a lot to do with lead generation quality. And we're generating internet leads all the time. Are they toward the highest quality or the lowest quality or someplace in the middle? Right, what? Did anybody say high? They're the highest quality lead. So do we have those leads coming in that are occupying our time? Yeah. You know what? Nobody's doing you a favor, and who is participating in lead generation if we're giving you the poorest type of lead. What I want help with, if Keith's helping me, is how do I meet a divorce attorney? Yeah, if you grab your phone, I will ask you a question. Gary. So what I want, my referral partners, people in the group with me, is to send me leads that are highly motivated. And almost everything we talked about this morning, they're have to move lead sources. They're have to move, they're not want to move. It's a lot easier to convert, it's a lot easier to convert have to move leads versus want to move. Isn't it? People that want to move, they're going to do what with their price? They're going to overprice your property. They tend to. People that have to move, what do? The priority is moving, not the equity amount. The want to people's, the priority is, if I don't get enough money, Jim, I don't have to give this away. Jim, we're in no hurry. Right? Isn't that what we hear sellers say? We're in no hurry, I don't have to give it away. Well, we should have screened those people out before. We should know already, and we're going to talk about that in the interview process, how do we eliminate Chrissy, I need you to come up and take over. Excuse me. So, in any case, we'll talk about that. How do we eliminate people in the lead conversion process up front? Because if somebody had a bag of seeds with low yield, would you buy that bag? There's two bags right there. One says low yield, one says high yield. The high yield ones have high conversion rate. Not just that we take the client in, but we can close them. Because what happens with most listings? Is there any resistance here in St. Louis with sellers dropping their price? We get that here? Okay. Anybody have a listing right now, honestly, that's on the market but not priced in it? Okay. The rest of you liars, raise your hand. I know your numbers. I know who came. Most of you, I know who's coming today. Yeah. I know your numbers. A lot of your realtors that are here today, I knew who in advance because the bridge members told us who was coming, and I looked up your numbers. We don't have many people here selling 100% of their listings. What if that were the goal? That everything you took, you sold. Every listing's like a part-time job, isn't it? Every listing's a part-time job. Would you go to work if they're only going to pay you for half your part-time jobs? No, we wouldn't do it. But we continue to take listings in or take buyers into our car that are part-time jobs that don't pay. So we're going to help today eliminate those people through a screening process, as well as how to convert them better during the interview stages so they do what you want to do. And too often agents have said, I took the listing at the seller's price. My question would be, Bob, why'd you do that? Not that Bob's done it, because I haven't asked him that question, but why'd you do it? What's the probability of selling a listing that's overpriced? What'd you say?
To get a yard sign.
To get, no, what's the probability of selling a listing that's overpriced? So how about 0? If you wait long enough for the market to catch up with your price, in this economy, how long is that? You might read in the newspaper that we're in an appreciating economy and all the things are good again. It is not. That's just the papers. We are not out of the woods. There are absolutely places in St. Louis that are still depreciating. We have moderate depreciation still occurring, and we have aggressive depreciation. A friend of mine called to list his property. It was about the $2 million price point. And when I don't list any longer, but it was a friend, so I went with another friend who holds my license, and basically I showed them that their ratio of inventory was 53 houses for sale to 3 under contract. So we got about a 17-to-1 ratio. Is that appreciating or depreciating market? Okay, we're depreciating. He thought it was worth more than he bought it. What year he bought it in? 2005. And I can show you on that chart, anybody, almost anybody who bought in 2005, the property actually will depreciate if they're hitting the marketplace unless they did one or two things. They stole the house when they acquired it, or they pumped it full of money. If you didn't pump it full of money, you didn't steal it when you acquired it, which most people don't do, the marketplace will not let you, statistically, will not let you appreciate. Now you might want to appreciate, and what we're going to do is we're going to show this to people when we're doing the interview. We're going to show them that the market, and I think, Bob, we were talking about this earlier, you were Gladys Mannion, before the event started, and we were talking about what maybe Stanford says, and that was equipping the seller with the data. So the data is the one to blame, not you. Because you know what? After all, Bob, you just don't know our area. You know, we want to go higher, higher than that in price. You must not know our area. So what do? They're friends of ours. Do we pass on the listing? Do we persuade them? We just take it. Methinks we take it. Anybody do that? You take it anyway? It's a part-time job that doesn't pay. I'd rather pass. I'd rather be their third agent, which is what this listing is that my friend has now. We're their third agent. And I'll take the risk of not getting that listing, because I do not want a listing just for the sign. I want to take part-time jobs that, that succeed. I can find my own business. I do not need a for sale sign to do lead generation for me. I want a person to send me the leads. I'm not going to count on the sign. Because what's the price of not selling an overpriced listing? Is the client happy? A little verklempt? Talking about yourself, the subject is butter.
Start singing, Beal.
Yeah, who sings with Beal? And what's our motivation for taking these listings? Is it to serve ourselves or serve the client? Very good. It's to serve ourselves. What's our objective every day when we get up and prospect first and then serve our clients second? Because I have coached a lot of realtors who said, no, you prospect every day first. That's the discipline. The forward thinker says, you know what? I'm going to serve my clients every day first before I go serve myself. Because lead generation, a lot of the recommendations are every morning prospect. And our team knew every morning serve. Because are sellers generally just really happy and content on their own, or do they need guidance? They're high maintenance relationships. The people are really not happy all the time. And so they need us to be touching base with them. So should we do that after we serve ourselves each day, or should we serve them first? Because it's so easy to serve ourselves first. And that's a lot of the programs are out there. Make sure you're prospecting every single day. But did anybody say, serve your clients? I chatted with 2 agents that recently went to the national conventions. There's been 2 companies with national conventions like the last couple of weeks, and I interviewed some of the agents that went there. And I had a question. And that question was, tell me about what you experienced there, all right? What about lead generation? Well, all kinds of ideas, great. Tell me about the customer service programs that they had, the seminars you went to about customer service. Didn't exist. If they did exist, they didn't find them. They weren't at any of the booths of how do I have a relationship with my existing clients? How do I serve people that are in the, what I call the no way mode? The no way means I'm not going to change my price no matter what you say. You know, you can't move me. Well, that's all right. That's just a starting position. No way. But how do you do that anyway? And as you look at these national conventions or the training curriculums with different companies, and you say, well, how do I get my current clients to move their price? Well, what do I do? What's the system that I can repeat every single time? Because even after today, you will overprice listings. You'll still do that. You'll put the wrong buyer in your car. But how do we minimize those and close more of the transactions? So that's really what we're going to unpack here about lead conversion. And the first thing I want to chat about is quality. I'm going to actually, let me jump one slide ahead here. See this company up here? This is a company in St. Louis. I won't tell you the brand name. All right, it's a large company, and if you look at the top left, see those numbers. It says 657 closed units in the last 12 months from today, from yesterday when I ran this. 657 units in an office, pretty good. They lost 532. So that's 52%. So give this office 100 million in volume, they're going to close 52 million every single time. So is quality spoken there or is quality practice? This shows an absence of customer service. People are leaving them. How do I know that there's a problem here? Look at this next slide right here. This shows who closed your lost listing and collected your revenue. This is a list of the relationships that were lost and other offices who picked up your relationships. Now, none of you probably ever lost a listing, but if you have, what my system does, it tracks not only who lost it, but who gained it and what the revenue was. Just from this particular office, on this one-page report, $339,000 of commissions were recovered by other brokers. So you think you lost the listing and that was that, but they're being recovered. Seller becomes a buyer. And the relationship goes where? It's just gone. Jim?
Well, just so I'm clear, This is this is the flip side of the other company that lost the 47%. This is the 47%.
Yeah, you can see on this list
All right.
that First Choice Realty, Alexander, Coldwell Banker, Premier, McAfee, McAvoy, Remax Results, these are recovered listings from that one brand. This is just, it's right in the MLS. You want to know how often another company succeeds or fails, it's right there in the MLS. What's really painful is when you see you lost $340,000 in commissions. This wasn't potential, this is real. It doesn't include the buyer side. You can certainly add another couple $100,000 on the buy side. So it's $500,000 in verifiable commissions that were lost by that one office.
So this represents the 52% of that unnamed company.
The 48% they lost. They closed 52,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, 47, okay. So this is just from that one company to this.
right?
Wow.
The worst part is the relationship. It's gone. These are lead referral sources that are terminated. Now somebody else owns that relationship. Okay? And this is a list of who currently, because remember, those were the ones that were closed. These are the ones that recovered that are still on the market right now. So we had two lists. Ones you lost and somebody already got paid on, and ones you lost, somebody else controls right now. Because you think your listing just went bye-bye? No, it went back on the market. Not all the time, but you can see if these people sell, these agents sell recovered listings from that one office, it's $426,000 in revenue.
More than the other page.
More than the other page. But if they only sell half of them, it's about $250,000, somewhere around there. So overall, this is in the at minimum $700,000 range of commissions that were lost by that one office.
In 1 year.
Jim?
Maybe you're going to get to this as part of your research. Does it show what these properties went back on the market for?
Sure. And what percentage of those got price reductions? A lot of them. A lot of them. Which means, what happened with the first listing agent that the second agent would get a price reduction? What went wrong? Trust. Trust, communication. Honey, I'll do it for that guy, but I won't do it for you. It's pretty much happens. The relationship is broken. You're my friend, but guess what? You did your best. Go with somebody new, drop the price. It's just the relationship. As we talk about this today, we're going to go into stage 2. Stage 1 is getting the commitment. Stage 2 is now that we're doing week-to-week conversations with people. What do we say weekly to people that are unhappy with us? Anybody married?
Anybody single?
Now, I'm sure there are a lot of happy marriages. Now I like to share this part of the story. I've been in marriage counseling 6 times. And I cannot tell you how much great notes I have about seller servicing. I was in those counseling sessions and I was taking notes about relationships. It wasn't the one sitting next to me. It was, this is true, I felt like I was going to professional coaching. And it was all about how to have a relationship with one person. And I saw all my clients that were resistant to change prices, that I can communicate better. So my therapy hopefully is benefiting you guys. You should see my notes from all those times. It really was some of the best stuff. Can we keep going? That's, believe it or not, that's where some of these reports came out of. Pain. Reports really came out of pain. And then for me to get managers and owners of companies, or individual agents to recognize, isn't there pain here? Is this not enough pain for change? So, you know, it's one thing to say you lost listings, another thing to see that they've been relisted, and they bought through somebody else, and they sold their house through somebody else. And when you speak to a manager of a company, you know, they're losing 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month. Hopefully that's enough pain to say we're going to change this environment. But it goes back to this. Leadership in the office, and it's quality spoken, but quality can be measured. And I think 52% sales is really bad. That with all of the expertise that we have, that we're closing really 1 out of every 2, or 5 out of every 10 transactions. Is that, if you were going on a listing call and the seller asked you the question, Keith,
What?
how many listings out of 10 do you close? And I want to see a MAV report in front of me to prove what you just said. How many would, how many would be proud to show that number? When I was on listing calls, I told people you have a 78% chance of selling with us. Well, didn't the seller think it was 100? If I hire you, isn't it a 100% chance? No, 78%. Because I knew I was at the very top of the marketplace. There are not many people that sell 100% of what they take unless they're taking like 2 or 3 a year. And I wanted people to know that I'm trying to get to 80%, but I'm not good enough yet. Because I just ask you this, if I'm competing with a different realtor, I would just say, make sure you ask the other realtor for the same number. Because here's a phrase that completely will shift the mind of the home sellers from this point on if you ask this question. Are you ready? Okay, ready? And that is, let me ask you a question, seller. Are you hiring based on the person's years of experience, amount of volume they're selling, their brand name, or in the probability of selling? No seller I interviewed with ever said probability was what they were looking for until I brought it up. Because going into surgery, what do you want? The best hospital, the surgeon with the most amount of years, the best price, whatever, best brand, or do you want the surgeon who has the highest probability of survival rate? I'm going survival rate. I'll take the 29-year-old surgeon who has an 87% survival rate versus the guy who does 57% survival rate. Come on. So when it comes to the kitchen table interview, if you want to eliminate your competitor, quality first. And to say, because what are your standards? Anybody here know what the standard in your office is? What's your broker preach? What's your broker preach? We're going to sell 100 properties this year out of our office, or 100 this month. How many listings are acceptable to be done on arrival? What's the number? Is there even a goal in your office? Where the broker has said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close 8 out of 10 of our units. If you did close 8 out of 10, you have no idea how far ahead of your competition you would be if you were closing 8 out of 10. Because there isn't an office in the metro area that's closing 8 out of 10.